how are you kind of coming up with ideas? Like if you're just driving somewhere, are you thinking of stuff, and how are you storing that? So, because it seems so complicated.
It's honestly a struggle. I know it seems like I'm pushing out a lot of content, but for the majority of the time, I'm like having like inner dialogue and anxiety with myself that I'm not like creating like something like a new idea or something that I haven't done before, you know? So, man, it's a lot of draining energy, like coming up with this stuff. But for the most part, I would say like most of the way it works is I'll find an image that I really, really like. And that takes, like I said, like days, or, you know, sometimes it's just opening it first page. I'm like, oh, this is sick. But for the most part, it's just finding that one image that you really feel like there's something more that can be done with this. So once I have the image, it's like, now I'm just constantly brainstorming different ideas. So I'll just have the image directly in front of me in Photoshop. And then I'll just start throwing stuff into the image until like something like clicks. And it's kind of more like just making multiple images fit into this one image. So it's like you're constantly trying to find other images that can somehow fit into the image. So you're going through tons of different things. And then at the end, it just finally comes together.
What's cool to me is that you're using such old content, I guess, like images and stuff, but it feels like it was shot on like the best camera that came out today. You know what I mean? Like the quality is so high res. Is there ever like a tough point where you're having to like something maybe so dope, but it's kind of just like a shittier image or such an old magazine, or are you do you hunt to find a new version of that magazine? Maybe it had like water damage or some shit.
I actually appreciate the water damage. Like I can work with that. Like, do you? I like it to look like, I like some aspects of the image to still look old, like it was, you know, shot on a film camera. Scanners now are pretty powerful. Like you can throw an image in there and it will magnify the shit out of it. So
really?
You could, but a lot of those images were shot on like old film cameras. So like you're never going to get that level of detail that you can on a digital camera where you can like keep zooming in on stuff. But for most of the like elements that are like super high def, like I'll pull those. Have you ever heard of Unsplash?
Yep, Unsplash for sure.
Yeah, so I'll pull elements from there sometimes, and then with Adobe Stock as well, like I'll pull stuff from there too. Salem's, if you guys have never been to Salem, Mass, it's actually a really cool place. Like the Salem witch trials, that was like where all that shit took place, was like right here.
Okay, word.
So they like live off of that shit. So there's like a lot of weird stuff in this town. But there's this place called Harrison Comics. And they're mainly a comic book store, but they have this section of magazines where you can find some old ones. But for the most part, I buy them online. So sometimes I can find like PDFs of the old magazines so I can see what's in them.
Oh, sick. And
if I can look through them and find an image that I like, I'll order it, try to find it online. Sometimes they're tough to find, sometimes they're easier.
Have you gone back to that store and show them like how you were able to manipulate the work and
no, I haven't. That'd be funny though.
They should hang a print up in there. That shit would be fucking sick.
True.
It's kind of interesting because it's the same practice that DJs who are sampling like
exactly.
vinyls. You're like constantly hunting, and I feel like that you have to develop some sort of like, I don't know, an innate like sense to know, like you're already kind of like able to start stacking layers when you're seeing these images and conceptualizing ideas. It's really creative. I
have this huge library of images that I've never used before, and I'll scroll through it every single day and just be like, if something clicks that day, like the beginning of my day, just scroll through all the images that I have, and sometimes an idea will come. It's been difficult recently though. Like I've been a lot more selective with the content that I'm producing, so I'm more particular about things. So it's become harder to create. I'd say it's like 90% finding the content, and then the other 10% is like the actual editing of the piece.
Holy shit.
So yeah, it's a lot, like the vast majority of the time is just finding the right stuff. It's like a puzzle, man, like finding the right pieces to fit together. My images are very cohesive. It's a lot of time spent like finding the images that work well together instead of just like plopping random shit on a page, which I think, you know, like a lot of collage. I mean, I'm obviously very inspired by collage art, but it's so random, you know. It's a lot of like random assets overlaid on things, like that style of collage art. But I want my stuff to look like one image at the end, but also collage based.
Thanks for listening to this clip. Make sure to listen to the full interview, which is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. Hit the subscribe button for more highlights and join our Black with No Cream private community for creators. Links in the description.